Hello everybody, hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to try just using the microphone with the speakers. I don't have the microphone coming out of the speakers, but hopefully there's not too much bleed and it sounds weird, because I don't hear what you hear. If that's the case, let me know, or I can put headphones on, but I'd rather not, if it's up to me. How's everybody doing? It's a Saturday evening. I've been down in my little studio here trying to figure out what to do for an upcoming performance. And I went and visited the spot yesterday, and I sort of have a better understanding of what's going on. And I don't think what I was going to do before was necessarily appropriate. I don't know. So I'm going to try messing around with some other stuff. I think I want to be very mellow for this performance. So I wrote some new stuff and we'll see how it goes. The original idea was to slim down the setup quite a bit. But I haven't at all. I'm still using a 360 full of modules. I still have two complete guitar pedal boards full of pedals and a sequencer. I still have the Tascam Model 16 mixer. So I didn't make anything smaller. But we'll see. I think I have some clever stands I can use that hopefully stack it all up. But we'll see. I still have the bubbles. Because nothing's more mellow than bubbles. But I've been listening to this and working on this patch now for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. So it's like, I think I'm vibrating at the same frequency as this patch at this point, which is a really nice feeling. You guys are all sort of coming in fresh, and that's okay too. But I figured I would do a live stream because I'm kind of real happy with it. And I kind of like where it's at. So I'm going to play around with it a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit, and we'll check it out from there. don't know. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's really, really nice. It makes me smile. Something you would want to hear if you're, say, at a museum. Which is where I'm going to perform this. It's sort of a strange situation. It's not in a performance space. It's in the space where an art installation is, and we have to kind of perform around it. And they're filming it and recording it for I don't know what. It's very odd. It's beautiful. The art in there is beautiful. But that is what this is for. So I have 20 minutes, and I still have to go through and work on the actual sequences a little bit. Right now they're pretty raw, but I can go in and add a lot of chants to them and fine-tune a couple notes here and there so that as it plays through, each time it plays through it's a little different, but it carries the theme, and hopefully it evokes some sort of sense of melancholy or remembering, because that's what we're going for. No, I don't think people will be wandering around. It's after hours at the museum, so the museum's not open. But it's a large installation, and the artist for the large installation is going to be there performing, and I'm also going to perform, and Brie Dominique is also going to perform, and then we are all going to, based on all of our solo performances, come together and do an improvised performance afterwards. But there's only going to be a few select people there. In the room we're going to be performing in, you could probably fit 20 people. Because it's not a terribly small room, but there's a huge piece of artwork in the middle. That's just a massive collection of things. And it's beautiful, but because that's there, you can only fit so many people in the room. So it's going to be interesting. But again, I think the purpose of this wasn't necessarily to have it viewed live as much as they're trying to get some media to promote the installation. So they said they're going to film the audio for a podcast and the video for... They didn't tell me what that was for, but hopefully it'll make its way out there. I like this piece that I'm working on because it really you can tear it apart in blocks and it still works. Like here's sort of the bass, and it's two sounds. The first sound is the SV1, which I put back in from my live stream the other night when I took it out. So this is what the SV1 is doing, and I wanted this sort of choir-esque sound to it. So the patch itself is the sine wave. I'll go to the other camera here. The patch itself is pretty simple. Let me go to me for just a second here, so I don't make anybody sick with the camera. Don't want to make anybody ill. Okay, there we go. So the sound we're listening to is the SV1, and what we have is two oscillators being pitched by what I essentially wrote as the bass line. But I have this set to create two notes based off of that, and they're both oscillators are playing sine waves. You see I have the second oscillator patched in with this black cable here. So those are going to channel 1 and channel 2. I thought I could bring in the sub oscillator if I needed to for a third voice, but it's not smooth enough, man. So maybe, if I'm feeling fancy, I will put in another filter and roll that way off to almost a sine wave out of that. Because this... Oh, actually, what I could do... Haha. I could just bypass this filter. Take the sub out. Sub into the filter. Low pass back into the mixer. Oh yeah. That's the best. So I roll off all the buzz from the sub square. Well, most of the buzz. But that's nice. That gives me a nice little choir that you can see I'm even going straight out of the mixer into the output. So I'm bypassing the VCA and the envelope entirely. It's just, this is essentially a drone, but because it's pitched, it's sort of a choir-esque drone. That then goes to... I'll switch to me again here for a second. I don't want to move the camera while it's on screen, because that'll make everybody sick. All right, so the output of that goes into two pedals, goes into the Walrus Audio Lillian, which is a 6-stage phase shifter, and then the Walrus Audio ARP87, which is a delay. I'm a big fan of both these pedals, not only because they have National Parks graphics on them, which is why I bought the delay initially, but I really like how the Walrus Audio stuff sounds. It's kind of mellow compared to, say, the Boss pedals. It's not as extreme, but for something like this where I just want a little bit of movement, it's absolutely perfect. Ultimately, I would love to replace all my phase shifters with Toads, but right now there's only 3 Toads in the world, so I get one of them, and then Perry and Ross have the other 2. So that is the first sound. The second sound is part of this drone, is this one. Excuse me. This is... This is hard to do. I have a little tiny shot of all the cameras, so trying to line it up is difficult. But anyway, okay. Nope, see, I didn't do it. There we go. Oh, the camera's moving. So this high-pitched sound is again being pitched by what would be the bass sequence, but I wanted a really high-pitched sound. I'll turn it down for a second here. So again, I'm taking a sine wave from that, going into a bat, and just rolling it off a little bit. The bat is being modulated. It's being open and closed a little bit more by an LFO from a Taiga. And then the output just goes to an attenuator, which then goes to another pedal. Which goes to this phase shifter pedal, which, because of how it's plugged in at the moment, has to be like this. But that's okay. So that is this high frequency sound. But it really works really well when it works well with the SV1. Kind of, because it wobbles in a different way. It just adds a lot of depth to it, and it also adds, I don't know, I feel like the high frequency, it evokes something that I always find just beautiful. So, but it also works. I think it works with the melody. So if this is the melody, and this is playing, and I sort of slowly bring this in, you almost think that the stringed instrument playing the melody is resonating, and it's not even a different sound, which I think is really interesting. So this, I think, sounds absolutely beautiful. I have to turn my furnace off. All right, if you can hear my furnace, it'll stop in a minute. So I think this is really nice, these two together. And then I can bring in either the drone from the SV1 or I can bring in the sort of cheap piano sound. And they both kind of work. If I bring them all in, really sounds nice. You have a nice spread of sounds. I think it covers the frequencies. Pretty well. Nothing really steps on anything's toes too much. And it sounds clean, even though the sounds themselves are really meant to be dirty. But it doesn't sound distorted anyway. It sounds like I'm trying to record like a cheap guitar or a cheap piano or something. And that's the sound I was going for. And then the bass sound is played by... Whoa. Zoom out. There we go. The bass sound is the East Beast. And that is set to sine and saw, but the filter's rolled off enough that you don't really hear the saw too much. It's really just all sine. But I wanted to give it a little bit of dirt to it, so that's why I have the saw in there. Then on the East Beast, when you use the combination waveforms, like I'm using the sine and the saw in this patch, there's no, it doesn't drop the gain of the sine and the saw as you would hear them individually. So you tend, it's theoretically twice as loud because it's literally just unity gain mixing the sine wave and the saw wave. So that does push the filter a little bit harder than the individual waves would, and you can get a little bit of overdrive there, which is nice. And I talked about the bass patch before. It's pretty darn simple. But if I talk about, say, the melody of this thing, that is Taiga 2, which is this Taiga here, and these type of sounds, they really just take you kind of just take patience to get them. Enhance. There we go. So, three oscillators all playing sine waves. The wave folder is being used on all three, but oscillators 1 and oscillators 3 are being the wave shape is being controlled by ADSR 1 and ADSR 2, and oscillator 2 then is using the LFO. So I have the shape on oscillator 2 set to 50% so that I can sweep positively and negatively, because the shape knob does become the offset for the CV when you're using a bipolar modulation source like the LFO. Because I'm using then the envelopes for oscillator 1 and oscillator 3, you can see oscillator 1 I have starting at a clean sine, and then when it triggers the envelope, it opens up and then closes. Where oscillator 3 then I have opened up a bit, so it'll start there and sweep, but always end back there. It never fully closes to a sine. And the idea is just to modulate each one a little bit differently, so you get a more complex harmonic structure. As you dip into the mixer, could add noise for no reason, and then the mixer then dumps into the filter, which is being modulated by the LFO just a touch. Mostly the modulation comes from the ADSR. Do have this not closing quite all the way, just a little bit, and just a touch of resonance. There's probably no discernible difference between that and that, unless you're really listening. But in the mix, I don't think you would hear it, but that's what sounds nice to me. And then getting these really snappy sounds, the idea is to pluck the filter to get it to sort of maximum open and then close very quickly and then hopefully trail off slowly. So you can see I have the decay very sharp. So the idea is you get a very quick peak and then a long tail. And that long tail then allows the sounds to have almost two lives. You have the plucking of the string and then the sort of ambience of the string vibrating, and that's managed by this second envelope and then the response of the dynamics. If I set that super short, you can hear the difference. Open it up. So it does sound really nice. And then I just have a little bit of resonance on that just to shape it a bit. The resonance in the dynamics doesn't really sound the same or do the same thing as the resonance in the filter. It's more of a, it's just going to add a bit of oomph to the sound. That then passes through the super short delay with just a little bit of it peeking through. This is the delay, full delay. If I go back. So there's just a touch of that going through. So that then, that's the signal path for that. If I jump to me, move the camera. All right, so the output of Taiga 2 goes through phase shifter, because everything needs to go through phase shifters. Through the space echo, and then through the Fairfield circuitry pedal. This has another low-pass gate in it, which I then roll it off quite a bit. The cool thing about that is rolling that off, because I put it after the delay, it really manages the echoes in a beautiful way. So, like if I open it up, you can hear the echoes from the delay. But if I roll it off, you only hear them sporadically, and they're a lot more muted, and I think that sounds really, really cool. I have the mix on that set to full wet. And then the modulation. Damp is set to full. The rate's set to maybe 1/3, so it's relatively slow. And the depth is set to full. But I just think this thing just adds that little bit that I think makes it sound beautiful. Like if we go turn it off, it still sounds really nice. But it doesn't have the same feeling. It doesn't, I could, maybe I'm just being lazy by using this, because I really could recreate this sound using just Taiga. But I have the pedal, so I'm going to use the pedal. And I do like that it's after the delay, because I think the delay into this pedal I think sounds really, really cool. So the idea with this set is to start with the melody and sort of build from there. And the piece is slow enough that I think if it, I did the math, and if it plays through 16 times, if it plays the sequence 16 times, that covers 20 minutes. So the melody's playing it at 30 BPM, and everything else is playing at a half that. So all the other sequencers are running half as fast as this melody sequence. Because I tried running the melody slower, but it kind of fell apart. It didn't flow in your mind in the same way, if that makes any sense. It didn't feel like a melody. It just felt like notes at that point. And I didn't want to tie them together by adding decay and release to the sound, because that would sort of kill the sound. So it is what it is. So again, this is with, now I've added back in the high frequency local park sound, which again, just kind of, if you're doing just these two sounds, sounds like resonance, which is super cool. And it doesn't even sound like its own thing. It just sounds like a part of the same, which I think is beautiful. Then I can add the SV1 choir back in. Maybe the bass after that. Like I said before, I still have to go through and program the probability on the sequencer, because I want it to be a little bit more random in the notes it chooses, which of the 64 notes in each of the patterns it chooses to play. So I'll go through and I'll set and modify the percent chances of all that, because I do want each time it plays through to sound familiar but a little bit different. And that's, I won't do that on camera because it's sort of mildly tedious, but that I think will give this even that much more of a sense of feeling and a sense of movement, even though it's very mellow. And then I'm still sort of up in the air on what to do with the percussion. I have 3 percussion sounds that I'm not sure if I even need them. I fight with this a lot. Like, I always want to add percussion to everything, because it just seems natural in my mind to add percussion. But the reality is, it probably is fine without it. I don't know, the percussion isn't much. I've already taken the kick drum completely out of the patch, so it's not even patched up. can add it in now. So this is with the percussion. And it's two different hi-hat sounds. This mic is driving me crazy. It's two different hi-hat sounds and an elephant that's just playing a click through a delay. And I can turn off the delay so it just plays once. I'm not sure. I liked the delay because it felt a little more natural. But I can try it with reverb. See, I think it's better with the delay. Maybe just less feedback. That sounds all right. So this elephant labeled Tom, you can see I have Dymo label maker. Here's the water. It can get really chaotic fast. So I turned the delay off. Maybe the answer is to just I could do a deeper sound. That's true. What I was trying to really avoid was anything at all that resembled a kick drum. I didn't want that. And that's my fear with anything low, is that it's gonna end up feeling, even if it doesn't sound necessarily like a kick drum, it's gonna feel like one, and that's a concern. So I think I'm just gonna go through just a quick snap. Now the elephant is going in through the filter of crows, so a lot of the sound you're hearing is actually the resonance of the filter. If I turn that down, and then with the resonance, well, maybe it's not as much as I thought it was. There we go. So I think I just have to play with it a bit until I find something I'm happy with. And of course the bubbles. Which I almost abandoned, but how can you abandon bubbles? And that is an elephant here. running its path. I explained that one the other day, and I forget how it is, and I don't want to do it again, so. Well, I see. Sounds nice. It somehow sounds a little snary, maybe? I don't know. Would like to get some movement out of it. I have the filter cutoffs controlled by the random from a Gibbon. I don't know. I think it sounds nice like that. Nice wood blocky sound. Nice. So then this is everything together, which hopefully when I perform this, it's going to take a while to get here. But I really think this, in all the moments of this patch, it sounds really beautiful. So using just the melody with that sort of high frequency resonant sine wave from the local parks sounds beautiful, and then adding, I think every step along the way, it all works so well together and reinforces everything so nicely. I think this will be an easy performance and should hopefully make people close their eyes a little bit and enjoy. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I think the wood block is nice. I'll give Alex credit for that one. That is the tom drum, and I did use the tuning CV and the material CV, both sub 12 o'clock. So the envelope is pulling them down because the envelope's normal to both the tuning and the wave shape, so material. So it is sweeping it low, and I think it works nice. And then into the filter, it's a nice combo. Well done. The Bill asks, any Toad or phaser in there? Yes. But it's not doing anything. Well, we're not hearing it right now. That's the one sound that's not playing. Is the bird sound. So there we go. So down here, in the bottom corner here, we have bird. So the elephant's a bird, and that is patched into the Toad to just give the sound some wobble, so the bird has some wobble to it. Not sure if I'm gonna include this bit in the piece or not. I've been playing with it all night without it. I don't know if it needs it. I don't know. This is also meant to be a part of the wobble bird. Yes, the wobble bird. I like that. This track is also meant to be a part of what would be probably like an EP's worth of material, so I think maybe I'll use it for the live performance, but the bird I think is going to be used on another track on the EP, and that's okay. But people like birds, so maybe I'll use it. That's another one I could just add a bunch of reverb to, and I've been slowly, over the course of the evening, pulling the reverb back because I'm trying not to drown everything in reverb. So I'm just trying to give everything a little bit of touch, and then I have the reverb on its own fader. So I just keep, every now and then, just pulling it back just a touch. Is this all sequenced from the SQ64? Yes, yes it is. Here's the SQ64. It's showing, this is Taiga 2, this is the melody. And you can see the notes that are selected, but the way this works is, all of these have a probability, so they don't necessarily play every time. They have a percent chance. Like this one. And then there's a chance of fill for the entire thing. So all of the notes that aren't on, right now it's 10%, but I can raise that up and make it more complex. I did go through and program a note on every one of these 64 steps. So every single step is relevant to the sequence. So I can add the fill percent all the way up to 100 if I wanted, and every note will be fine. But I tend to start it very low, and then as the as the performance goes on, I would add to the fill percent until it gets probably close to about 60%. So it's nice and complex, but there's still a little bit of room to breathe. I know the screen looks a little crazy, but it looks fine here. Alex asks, does the SQ64 support variable sequence length? Yeah, you can set every sequence to a variable length, and every sequence can also be a different clock division. So, like I have the melody running at 16th notes, and then I have everything else running at 8th notes. But everything is, in this sequence, set to 64 steps. And I may change that with something at some point. I'll probably experiment with that a little bit. I still have about a week or so to fine-tune everything. So as I go through every sequence, I'll probably experiment with that a little bit. But I don't know. We will see. So that's tonight's patch. I'm super happy with it. I think it sounds very, very nice. I'm actually I'm extremely happy with it. I think it's beautiful. I'm a big fan. I can't wait to record it. Once I sort of nail down every sound and every bit of the sequence, I'll do a recording here and then perform it live and post the final version up on my Bandcamp page. And that's sort of the goal of the Bandcamp page, is to put stuff like this up there, not necessarily every patch, but stuff that I consider a finished piece will go up there, and yeah. So, happy to share my innards. But I think it's interesting to sort of see sometimes how this stuff works, because I know over the years, as I've been trying to learn how to perform with a modular, it's terrifying, and it's very confusing because it's very different than working with traditional instruments, traditional synthesizers. So it's taken me a long time to get confident and comfortable doing it, and now this is going to be the first time I've ever performed where it's not improvised, where I have a piece that I'm going to perform, and I know how it's going to go, and I know when the changes are happening. So, but to get there has been a long journey. So it's kind of fun to share the process. What's my Bandcamp? I don't know. I think it's Richard Nicol. And if you just search for Richard Nicol, I think you'll find it. Where and when are you performing live? I'm performing live at the Carnegie Museum here in Pittsburgh. Although it's not open to the public, and there's only probably going to be about 15 or 20 people there, but it's going to be filmed for the museum, and it's going to be recorded. The audio is going to be recorded for the museum's podcast. So once I have that information, I'll let everybody know when it's available. Eye of the Tiger. That's funny. It's very, very funny. There was a review posted a few days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, by I don't know his name, is a German synth reviewer, and he had some very funny Tiger references at the beginning of his video. I didn't watch the whole thing. I usually don't watch reviews, but I was told I had to watch the first couple minutes, and I did, and it was really funny. Any Pittsburgh Modular news to share? New goodies on the horizon? Not really. We have Taiga should be shipping very soon to customers. It's sort of a weird thing. It arrived at the distribution center in Minneapolis, but they couldn't unload the shipping container until the first of the month because they couldn't unload the entire thing before the month ended, or before they started their inventory for the end of the month. So we had to sort of wait. So it got a little delayed for that, but you know, it is what it is. So it'll be a couple extra days, but they should start shipping very soon, very, very soon. No, it wasn't Heimbach. Any other news? We have a meeting next week at the shop where we have a Google spreadsheet where we're all throwing out a bunch of really ridiculous ideas for a new thing. And next week, either Thursday or Friday, we're all going to get together and sort of demo our ideas, either on breadboard or however it takes to get them to make sound. And we're going to decide out of these 12 ideas or 13 ideas, I don't know, I haven't looked at the spreadsheet in a couple days. However, we're going to sort of listen and argue about each one and then decide which 3 we're going to work on. So that'll be fun. Other than that, there's a shit ton of stuff coming. We've been working on stuff for years. There's a bunch of really, really cool Create stuff coming, but that's probably not coming till we'll probably start to see that at the end of the year. All this stuff takes so long. We should hopefully have 2 more Pittsburgh instruments before the end of the year. We're definitely going to have at least 1, hopefully 2 Pittsburgh instruments. Yeah, I don't know. We don't have any schedule for new modules yet. We still have plenty of drum modules, so we don't feel any pressure to do a production run of modules yet. We still have the local parks, and the local parks and the Toad are finished, but we're going to sell through some of the drums before we put them in. So we're thinking summer for those, which is fine. And then like the Cascading Florist would be the batch after that. So we should have 4 Eurorack modules this year, but they're going to be way spaced out. But beyond that, we don't have any Eurorack modules planned. But we'll see. Depending on how this meeting next week goes, we may do a couple Sambari modules based on that just to test some ideas for another thing. I don't know. But that's sort of the idea of the module, so that you don't really know. Yeah, the sequencer. I never finished the code. I have one. I can zoom in. I have one in the case. Here it is. If the camera stops moving. This is the Bengal Tiger. 16-step sequencer. Very fun. But I never finished the code on it, so it's very unsellable at the moment. But we did manufacture them. We also manufactured the drum sequencers as well. We have them. But I didn't finish the code for those either, so we don't have any plans to release them. If I have some time to finish the code, or if we ever find a coder to start working with us in the Pittsburgh area here, maybe they finish them. I don't know. But until then, there is no plans to finish and sell those at the moment. So that is the update on Pittsburgh Modular. I have one more guitar pedal coming in the mail that I'm really excited about on Tuesday. So I get to play around with that, which is good because I sort of like guitar pedals. I ordered a DoD rubber neck delay, which they've somehow managed to get 1.5 seconds of delay out of BBD chips. So I'm fascinated on how they did this. I'm going to get this thing and pull it apart and go from there. Yeah, Alex, everything we do is in C++. But it really, unfortunately, it really is a thing where I want the person that's coding to be here. Because it just makes everything easier for me. And I know coding can be done remotely, and there's a lot of brilliant coders all over the world. But it's so much easier on me if they can come into the shop once a week and I can sit and review things with them on my schedule, and we can look each other in the eye and test prototypes back and forth. So it's definitely needs to be a Pittsburgh thing. But yeah, so I think that's it. That was a fun hour on Saturday night here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States, Earth. Hi, Bob. So this patch now I have been listening to for 4.5 hours, and it's just so pleasant. This is something I can have in the background while I do anything. That makes me happy. But all right, I'm going to shut the cameras off, and then I'm going to clean up a little bit, finish my beer, and probably go to bed. Yeah, sorry, Bob. The dream is over, man. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with me tonight. I really appreciate it. This was a good example of I kind of turn the cameras on when I have a minute, and I have something interesting. And tonight was a perfect example of that. I had something interesting, and I had time to turn the cameras on. So hopefully I can do this as often as I can, but if I can't, I can't. But thank you everybody for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I love that it's like the same core group of people every time. There's a great community in the chat room, and obviously anyone that's just watching and not involved in the chat room should jump on in and next time and hang out with us, because we create great conversation and it's all led by you guys over in the chat. And I really appreciate that, because it's a lot of fun then to have a cool hangout, whether it's on a Saturday night or a Tuesday night or whenever it is. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me in my basement. And I will talk to you guys again, hopefully very soon. Bye, everybody.